Lesson 2.7. So if you remember, what we have gone over already, this chapter, is we have gone over how to add and subtract positive and negative numbers. If you remember, what are the rules that we use to add and subtract positive and negative numbers? Same signs, add and keep, different signs, subtract and take. Yesterday, we learned on 2.5 and 2.6 how to multiply and divide with positive and negative numbers. If I have an even amount of negative signs, what is my answer? Positive. If I have an odd amount of negative signs, what's my answer? Negative, okay? So today we are going to learn how to divide by a fraction. And technically, there is no such thing as dividing by a fraction. It's impossible to do. So what you need to know is you need to know, okay, when they give me a division problem with a fraction, how do I solve it? Because it's impossible. The method that I think is the easiest is keep, flip, change, or KFC, okay? What you do is you keep. You're going to keep your first fraction. If I look right here, my first fraction is 1/2. I keep it. I just write the same thing. My second thing I'm going to do is flip. You take the second fraction that they have given you and you flip it. When you flip it, this is called the reciprocal. If you look right here, this definition that I have given you, you need to be familiar with because they're going to ask you, what's the reciprocal of this? So basically, anytime they ask you for a reciprocal, all you do is you take the fraction that they have given you and flip it. So the reciprocal of 3/4 is 4/3. So what would the reciprocal of 5/6 be? 6/5, okay? So that's all that flip means, all right? So we kept our first fraction, we flip our second fraction, and then we change from division to multiplication. Once I do that, then I can solve because now I have a multiplication problem. I'm no longer dividing by fractions. What I can do is I can say, all right, time to multiply. Can I simplify these fractions before I multiply? Yes. 2 goes into 2 one time. 2 goes into 4 2 times. And then I multiply straight across. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. And this is my answer. So anytime you are given a division problem with a fraction, you have to remember, keep, flip, change, okay? Keep the first fraction, flip the second fraction, so whatever's on the top, put it on the bottom, whatever's on the bottom, put it on the top, and change to multiplication. All right, so this first example, all they want me to do is they want me to get used to reciprocals. Seeing them, knowing exactly what they are. So all they want me to do is write the reciprocal. What is the reciprocal of 3/5? 5/3. What's the reciprocal of 7/10? 10/7. Okay? What is the reciprocal of 2? What would I need to do to 2 first, Tristan? Exactly. And how would I change it to a fraction? Exactly. Anytime you have a whole number, in order to change it to a fraction, all you need to do is put it over 1. Now, what's the reciprocal of 2/1? Betty? 1/2, 1/2. Now, look at this last one. 4 1/2. How do I change that to a reciprocal, Megan? Exactly. Well, not a mixed number. It is a mixed number, so I make it an improper fraction. In order to take the reciprocal, I have to first make it an improper fraction. So I do 2 times 4, which is 8, plus 1, which is 9, and I keep my same denominator. What is 9/2's reciprocal? 2/9. Okay? So that's how we flip fractions. So they wanted you to get used to it. So now, once they give us an example, we know exactly what to do. So remember, keep, flip, change. What am I going to keep in this first problem? Exactly. We are going to write this as a fraction, and I'm keeping the first term, which is 6t/1. Next step is flip. What am I flipping in this problem? 1/2. And what is 1/2's reciprocal? 2 over 1. And what am I changing? Division to multiplication. Is there anything I can simplify by before I multiply? Nope. So I just multiply straight across. 6t times 2 is 12t. 1 times 1 is 1. Okay? So my final answer is 12t. Now, if you were to box in this and give me this answer on your quiz or your test, I'm not going to mark it wrong. I see you know how to do it. You've got the right answer. But I would prefer to see it written as a whole number because I want to know that you know in your head, okay, anything over 1 is a whole number. All right? But I'm not going to mark you wrong if you leave it over 1. All right? Next one. First step. What's my first step? The K in the KFC. Keep. All right? What am I keeping? Negative x over 12. What is the F in the KFC? Flip. What am I flipping? 3. How do I flip it? Put it over 1, and it's going to be 1/3. And what is the C in the KFC? Change. What am I changing? Division to multiplication. Is there anything I can simplify? Nope. What is negative x times 1? Charles? Negative 1x. Now, if you wanted to, you could write negative x. You don't have to write the 1 there. Okay? And then 12 times 3 is 36. And this is my final answer. Okay? Now, I've got a lot of questions whenever people see that negative sign because they say, well, in this problem right here, you had the negative sign in the middle. Okay? As long as there is one negative sign, what is my answer going to be? Negative. So, as long as your answer has one negative sign, it is correct. It does not matter if it's with the top term. It doesn't matter if it's in the middle or if it's with the bottom term. As long as there is only one. If you put 2 negative signs, what would that answer be? A positive. So we can't put 2. We just need to put 1. Okay? All right, and I just chose to do it with the top one because it's a little bit easier to see that way. Okay? Next problem. What am I going to do? You need to know all the steps. What would I do first with no hints at all? Keep. What am I keeping? Negative 2/3. Negative 2/3. Next step. Flip. What am I flipping, Seth? Okay, and how am I going to flip it? Perfect. Negative 9 over 4. Now, what's my last step? Change. What am I changing, Tyler? Division to multiplication. Is there anything I can simplify before I multiply? Yep. 3 goes into 3 one time. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 2 goes into 2 one time. 2 goes into 4 2 times. Now count up your negative signs. How many do I have? 2. So what's my answer going to be? Positive. So let's not even worry about the signs. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. Now you can leave this as your answer. You do not need to change it to a mixed number. However, if you want to, you can change it to a mixed number. I'm obviously not going to count it wrong if you do. So either of these answers is correct. Now, you do not have to simplify first. If you wanted to, you could have multiplied 2 times 9 is 18. 18 over 12 because 3 times 4 is 12. But you cannot give me 18 over 12 as your final answer. That tells me you don't know how to simplify a fraction. I don't mind improper fractions. I don't mind mixed numbers, either one of those, but it has to be in simplest form. If it is not in simplest form, it is wrong. Okay? Make sure you know that. Example 3. So we're kind of changing gears a little bit here. We're blending yesterday's lesson with today's lesson. And if you remember yesterday's lesson, we talked about like terms and being able to add or subtract like terms. In order to add or subtract like terms, they have to have the same variable, which means the same letter, and that letter has to be raised to the same power. That you can only add or subtract like terms. Adding and subtracting is your key there. You can multiply or divide by anything. So I could do 2x divided by 2 and I could get 1x, okay? Or I could do 2x times 2 is 4x. I can multiply or divide anything all day long. However, I cannot add or subtract unless they are like terms. So I look at my numerator here. 45 minus 5x. Can I subtract these and make this 40x? No, they're not like terms. But what I can do, which my problem is telling me, divide by 5. Now, each of these terms are being divided by 5. Not just one of them, both of them. So I need to simplify by dividing. What is 45 divided by 5? 9. What is negative 5x divided by 5? Negative 1x or negative x. Can I simplify 9 minus 1x and make this 8x?
No.
Nope, they're not like terms, so this is my final answer. Okay? Jason, in this next problem, can I add like terms on the numerator? Nope, because they're not like terms. Very good. Okay? So, what am I going to do then? Betty? Exactly. I divide by negative 2 on both terms. What's 22x divided by negative 2? Negative 11x. What is 10 divided by negative 2? Negative 5. Pay attention to your signs, because if you don't pay attention to your signs, you need to, or you will get it wrong. Okay, everybody should be writing this down. Okay? Example 4. So what we're going to do now is they have told us exactly what each variable equals, and they just want me to solve the problem. Okay, so they've told me what each variable equals, and they want me to solve the problem. So I know that r is equal to 4, so let's plug, r is equal to 17, so let's plug in 17 for r. So I've got 3 times 17 minus 17 over 11. Okay? Now, everything is a like term. It's not like the last problem that I just had. It's not a keep, flip, or change because I'm not dividing by any fractions. It's just a simple order of operations problem, and we did those in Chapter 1. So, according to order of operations, what would I do first? Multiplication. What's 3 times 17? 51. Now I have 51 minus 17 over 11. What's 51 minus 17? 34. 34 over 11. Can I reduce this fraction? Nope. I can make it a mixed number if I wanted to, which would be 3 and 1 over 11. But I don't have to. This is my final answer. Okay? Just as simple as that. But on this next problem, it's a little trickier. Okay, it's a little trickier. They told me that x is equal to negative 3 and y is equal to 2/3. So let's plug it in and solve. So I've got 15 times negative 3 squared plus 10 over, what did they give me for y? 2/3. Am I ever allowed to divide by a fraction? No. What do I do instead? Multiply or keep, flip, change. Okay? Now, I am going to do that, but I'm going to wait and I'm going to simplify everything in my numerator first because it's going to be much easier if I have one number and then I do keep, flip, change as opposed to all of these. Okay? So I'm going to simplify my numerator first and then worry about the division by a fraction. So if I'm just looking at my numerator, what would I do first? Exponents. What is negative 3 squared? Negative 3 squared. Positive 9. Positive 9. Why would that be a positive? Because there's two negatives. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. So now I have 15 times 9 plus 10 over 2/3. Again, I'm not going to worry about that fraction till the end. Tyler, what would I do now?
You would
which is, anybody? 135 plus 10 over 2/3. What's 135 plus 10? 145. Now it's time to worry about my keep, flip, change. If I want to, I can rewrite this fraction like this. 145, I'm going to write it over 1, divided by 2/3. Oh, okay, now I see. That's much easier to look at it when I need to do keep, flip, change. Okay, so what would I keep? 145 over 1. I'm going to write it right above it. 145 over 1. What would I flip? 2/3 to make it 3 over 2. And then what would I change? Division to multiplication. Is there anything I can simplify? No. So I just multiply. What's 145 times 3? 435. What is 1 times 2? 2. Can I reduce this fraction? Nope. I could change it to a mixed number if I wanted to, 217 and 1/2, but I don't have to. I could leave it. What?
435.
It's 435. Sorry. Sometimes I get a little bit of dyslexia, I think. Okay? 435. That makes a little more sense. 435, okay? So that is how we would do lesson 2.7, dividing by fraction.